Imagine having everything, wealth, power, beautiful women by your side, only to discover it was all built on lies. What would you do to find the truth? This is the story of Chidi, a young billionaire who faked his own downfall just to see who would stay, and what he discovered broke his heart in ways he never expected. The music was loud at the Lagos party, and Chidi Okan stood on the roof, looking at the city lights below. At 30 years old, he owned half of Victoria Island. His father had left him land, but Chidi had turned that land into gold. Hotels, houses, shops, his name was on them all. People knew him, women wanted him, men wished they were him. But tonight, something felt wrong in his chest.
Hello guys, welcome to my channel where stories of love, money, and rich African lives are told. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments section below.
Chidi took a sip of his drink and watched the crowd. Near the bar, Adaez was laughing with her friends. Her dress cost more than most people earned in 3 months. He had bought it for her last week, along with the gold chain around her neck. She was so pretty that men turned to stare when she walked past. Her makeup business was doing well, very well, since Chidi had given her 5 million naira to start it. Across the room, Ngozi was talking to some business people. She stood tall and sure of herself, wearing the Gucci bag Chidi had bought her from Dubai. She now owned 3 beauty salons in Lagos, all paid for by Chidi's money. She often called him her king and said she would love him forever. 2 women. Both said they loved him. Both seemed perfect. So why did his heart feel empty? "Guy, you look like someone died," his friend Emeka said, walking up with 2 glasses of whiskey. Emeka had known Chidi since they were small boys playing football in Surulere. Now they were business partners, but Emeka still talked to him like a brother. "I'm fine," Chidi lied. "No, you're not." Emeka handed him a glass. "What's eating you?" "Them." Chidi nodded toward Adaez and Ngozi. "I don't know if they really love me." Emeka laughed, but not in a mean way. The question every rich man asks, do they love you or your bank account? "It's not funny, Emeka." "I'm not laughing at you, my brother. I'm laughing because I asked myself the same thing last year." Emeka's face became serious. "Have you ever thought about what would happen if you lost everything? Would they still be here? Would they still call you baby and king?" The question hit Chidi like a punch. He wanted to say yes. He wanted to believe their love was real. But deep down, he had doubts that kept him awake at night. "I don't know," Chidi said quietly. "Then find out." Emeka leaned closer. "Test them. Pretend you lost all your money. See who stays and who runs away." "That's crazy talk, is it?" Emeka asked. "Or is it the only way to know the truth?" "Look, I'm not saying they don't care about you, but there's a big gap between loving someone and loving what they can give you. The only way to know which one it is, remove the money from the picture." Chidi stared at his friend. The idea seemed mad. How could he fake being poor? Everyone knew him. Everyone knew his wealth. But the more he thought about it, the more it made sense. He had worked so hard to build his empire. Didn't he deserve to know if the women in his life truly loved him? "How would I even do this?" Chidi asked. Emeka's eyes lit up with the same smart look he had when they were planning business deals. "Easy. We stage a crisis. Make people think you lost everything. A fire, maybe, or bad debts. Move out of your mansion into a small flat, stop the money, then wait and see what happens. If they love you, they'll stay. If they love your money..." He didn't finish the sentence. That night, Chidi couldn't sleep. He lay in his big bed in his Ikoyi mansion, looking at the ceiling. His phone kept buzzing. Adaez had sent 5 messages about a trip to Paris she wanted him to pay for. Ngozi had sent a voice note asking about money for her 4th salon. Not one message asked how he was feeling. Not one asked what was on his mind. The next morning, Chidi called Emeka. "Let's do it." "Do what?" "The test. I need to know if they really love me." Emeka was quiet for a moment. "Are you sure? This won't be easy. You'll have to commit fully. No going back, no matter how hard it gets." "I'm sure," Chidi said, even though his heart was beating fast. "I need to know the truth." For 3 days, they planned everything. Emeka would spread news that Chidi's main hotel in Lekki had burned down. They would create fake papers showing Chidi owed banks too much money. News blogs would write that Chidi was broke and had to sell everything. Chidi would leave his mansion and move to a small flat in Yaba. He would tell people he was sick from stress. He would become, for everyone to see, a poor and broken man. "Once we start, we can't stop until you're ready. People will talk, your business friends will avoid you, and those 2 women, if they're not real, they'll leave you when you need them most." Chidi nodded slowly. "Then let's see who they really are." He stood on his mansion balcony one last time, looking at the pool and garden that had cost millions to build. He had worked so hard for all of this, but what good was all this wealth if the people around him were fake? "I'm ready," he said to himself. The next day, they set the plan in motion. Chidi felt scared, but also free in a strange way. Soon he would know the truth. Soon he would see if love could survive without money. And deep in his heart, he prayed that at least one of them would prove him wrong, that at least one would stay, that at least one would show him that real love existed. But prayer and hope are 2 different things, and sometimes the truth we find is not the truth we want. The test was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same again.
The news hit Lagos like a bomb on Monday morning. Every blog, every newspaper, every WhatsApp group was talking about it. Chidi Okon's hotel burns down. Billionaire loses everything. The photos looked real. Massive flames eating up the Lekki hotel, smoke rising into the sky, fire trucks everywhere. Emeka had paid a movie production company to create the images. They looked so real that even Chidi felt shocked seeing them. He sat in a small bucka in Surulere, wearing old clothes and a face cap pulled low. Nobody looked at him twice. Nobody asked for money or business cards. He was just another man eating rice and stew, trying to survive in Lagos. His phone was ringing non-stop. Business partners, banks, reporters, everyone wanted answers. He ignored most calls, only replying to important people with short messages about handling the crisis and needing time alone. The hardest part was his workers. Chidi had always treated them like family. Good salaries, health care, bonuses at Christmas. Now Emeka was telling them they were all losing their jobs. Chidi watched through video call as his office manager broke the news. Some people cried, some begged, some just sat there in shock. "They'll all get their jobs back," Emeka promised later, plus extra pay for the stress. "But for now, they have to believe it's real." "I feel like a wicked man," Chidi said quietly. "You're not wicked. You're just trying to find truth in a world full of lies." By Wednesday, Chidi had moved into his new home, a 2-room flat in Yaba. The building was old but clean. Children played football in the compound, women washed clothes by the tap, neighbors greeted each other and shared food. It was so different from his mansion where he lived alone with guards at the gate. His new flat had a small sitting room with a worn sofa, a bedroom with a thin mattress on the floor, and a kitchen barely big enough to turn around in. No air conditioner, no DSTV, no generator. When NEPA took the light, everywhere went dark. Chidi sat on the old sofa and looked at his phone. He had sent messages to both Adaiza and Gozi. "Something terrible has happened. I lost everything in the fire. Had to move to a small flat in Yaba. I'm not well. I really need you now." Adaiza replied fast. "OMG, baby! Just saw the news. This is so terrible.
What about the Paris trip and my makeup launch next month? You promised to sponsor it. What do we do now? Chidi read the message 3 times. Not, how are you? Not, can I come see you? Just questions about her business and the trip he was supposed to pay for. His chest felt tight, like someone was squeezing his heart. Ngozi's reply came 2 hours later. Chai, I heard the news. So sorry, my king. Send me your address. I'll bring food tomorrow. At least that was something. At least someone cared enough to offer help. The next day, Ngozi came. She was dressed simply, jeans and a t-shirt instead of her usual designer clothes, but Chidi could see the shock on her face when she looked around the small flat. Chidi, what happened? She set a cooler of jollof rice on the table. How did things get this bad? He had practiced the story many times. The fire destroyed everything. I had borrowed too much money from banks to build that hotel. Now they want their money back, but I have nothing. I'm finished, Ngozi, completely finished. She sat down slowly, her eyes moving around the room, the cracked walls, the old furniture, the small fan that barely worked. For a moment, Chidi thought he saw real concern in her eyes. Then she spoke. But what about my salons? The loan you promised for the 4th one? I've already signed the papers for the shop. I've told all my clients we're expanding. There it was. Not, how can I help you through this? But, what about my business? I can't help you now, Chidi. I can barely pay rent for this place. Her face changed. The softness disappeared, replaced by something cold and hard. But you promised, Chidi. I made plans based on your promises. I have people waiting, contractors ready to work. What am I supposed to tell them? Tell them the truth. I'm broke. She stood up quickly, anger flashing in her eyes. This is not fair. After everything we've been through, after all the plans we made together, you just throw me away like this? I'm not throwing you away. I have nothing left to give. She grabbed her handbag. I need to think about this. About us. About everything. She walked to the door, then turned back. I'll come again. Maybe. I need time to process all this. But Chidi could see the truth in her eyes. She wasn't coming back. She was already planning her exit. She came back twice more that week, but each visit was shorter and colder than the last. She kept asking about money, when he might recover, if he had any hidden savings, whether his rich friends could help. Every conversation ended with her looking more frustrated and him feeling more alone. And Aiza finally showed up on day 8. She wore designer sneakers that cost more than 3 months' rent on his flat. She looked around the place like she was visiting a prison. Baby, this is really bad, she said, barely sitting on the edge of the sofa. She kept checking her phone while caulking. My whole brand is about luxury and success. My followers expect to see me living the good life. How can I post pictures here? I'm going through a crisis, Adaiza. I lost everything. Don't you care about that? She finally looked up from her phone. Of course I care, but be realistic, Chidi. I have a business to run. My makeup launch is in 3 weeks. I've already spent money on it expecting you to cover the rest. Now you're telling me you can't? Do you know how embarrassing this will be? Embarrassing for who? I'm the one who lost billions. And I'm the one who has to explain to my followers why my rich boyfriend suddenly became poor. She stood up, her voice rising. This affects me too, Chidi. My image, my brand, everything I've built, it's all connected to you and your success. So that's what I am to you? Part of your brand? Adaiza's face went hard. Don't twist my words. I'm just being honest about reality. I can't live like this. She waved her hand around the small flat. I deserve better than this. You mean you deserve someone richer than this? She didn't deny it. She just picked up her Chanel bag and walked to the door. Take care of yourself, Chidi. I hope things get better for you. Those were the last words she said to him face to face. After that, only text messages came. Cold, distant messages that grew fewer each day. Then her Instagram changed. Posts about new beginnings and cutting off negative energy. Photos of her at fancy restaurants with new friends. Captions about knowing your worth and moving forward. She had erased him from his life like he never existed. Ngozi lasted a bit longer, but the end came when fake eviction notices arrived at Chidi's door, more of Amika's staging. Ngozi was visiting when the fake landlord came banging on the door, shouting about unpaid rent. "You have 1 week to leave," the man yelled. "I don't care about your problems. Pay or get out." Ngozi's face went pale. After the man left, she just stared at Chidi with tears in her eyes. But they weren't tears of sympathy. They were tears of fear. Fear of being dragged down with him. "I can't do this," she whispered. "I'm sorry, Chidi. I really am. But I can't watch you sink like this. I have my own life to worry about, my own bills to pay. My salons are struggling because you're not helping anymore, and I can't." That night, she sent a long text. "You're a good man, Chidi, but I need someone stable, someone who can support me like you used to. I hope you understand. I have to move on. Please don't contact me again. Goodbye." Chidi sat in the dark. Nepa had taken the light again and read that message over and over. 2 women he had loved. 2 women he had lifted up with his money, both gone the moment that money disappeared. He wasn't even surprised anymore. Just empty, just tired, just alone in a dark room, wondering if real love even existed in this Lagos where everything had a price tag. Outside, he could hear children laughing as they played in the dark. Their joy didn't depend on money or status. They were happy with nothing. Maybe that was the lesson here. Maybe happiness and love had nothing to do with wealth at all. The days after Ngozi left felt like walking through water. Everything was slow and heavy. Chidi would wake up on his thin mattress, stare at the ceiling, and wonder why his chest hurt so much when he already knew this would happen. Knowing the truth and feeling the pain of it were 2 very different things. Emeka came to visit 1 week after both women had gone. He brought soya and malt, trying to cheer Chidi up, but when he saw his friend's face, the smile died on his lips. "Guy, you look terrible." "I feel terrible." Chidi hadn't shaved in days. His eyes were red from not sleeping well. "I know I wanted the truth. I know this was my plan, but Emeka, it still hurts like hell." "I know, my brother. I know." Emeka sat beside him on the old sofa. "But now you know who they really were. Now you won't waste more years on people who only loved your wallet." "That's the thing that pains me most," Chidi said, his voice breaking. "I really loved them, both of them. I thought about marrying one of them. I imagined children, a family, growing old together. And all that time, they were just waiting for the next check I would write. They didn't deserve you. Or maybe I was stupid. Maybe every rich man in Lagos knows this already, that love and money can't live in the same house. The money always wins." Emeka shook his head firmly. "That's not true. Real love exists. You just haven't found it yet." But Chidi wasn't sure he believed that anymore. The worst part wasn't even the women leaving. It was how they left. Adaize had posted a video on Instagram 3 days ago, a whole speech about toxic relationships and men who lie. She never said his name, but everyone knew. The comments were brutal. People calling him a fraud, a fake, a man who deceived her. She was playing the victim, and her followers were eating it up. "She's making me the bad guy," Chidi said, showing Emeka the video. "I lost everything, and somehow I'm the one who wronged her. Delete Instagram. Stop checking her page. She's not worth your peace of mind." But it was hard not to look. Hard not to see her thriving while he suffered. In her latest post, she was at a club in VI surrounded by men in expensive clothes. The caption said, "God removed the wrong people so the right ones could find me." 1 week became 2. 2 became 3. Chidi stopped counting. He fell into a routine. Wake up, buy bread and a kara from the woman downstairs, sit in his flat, pretend to look for work, sleep. repeat. The neighborhood accepted him as one of their own now, just another man trying to survive in Lagos. The children called him Uncle Chidi and sometimes asked him to settle their football arguments. The woman who sold provisions would give him extra when she knew he didn't have much money. The man who fixed generators offered to help him for free when his small fan stopped working. These people had nothing, but they shared what little they had. It made Chidi think about all the years he spent in his big mansion surrounded by expensive things, but no real friends, no real connection, just business partners and women who wanted his money. One evening, as he sat on the balcony trying to catch some air, the heat was terrible. He heard someone singing next door, a woman's voice, soft and sweet, singing an old worship song his mother used to sing. The voice made him feel something he hadn't felt in weeks: peace. He looked over and saw her, a young woman hanging clothes on a line, singing to herself as she worked. She was slim and dark, with her hair tied back in a simple scarf. Nothing fancy about her, no makeup, no designer clothes, just a woman doing her chores and singing like she had all the joy in the world. Their eyes met for a second. She smiled, not the fake Instagram smile he was used to, but a real smile that reached her eyes, and went back to her singing. Chidi felt something crack open in his chest. Not love, not yet, but hope. A tiny seed of hope that maybe, just maybe, good people still existed in this Lagos that had shown him so much darkness. That night, Emeka called to check in on him. "How are you holding up?" "Better, I think. Still hurts, but I'm starting to see things clearly now." "Good, because I have news. Araize is dating a new man, some music producer. She posted a photo with him today, deleted it fast, but people took screenshots." Chidi waited for the pain to come, the jealousy, the anger. But he felt nothing, just empty acceptance. "I don't care anymore." "Really?" "Really. She was never mine to begin with. I was just renting her time with my money. Now someone else is paying the rent." I laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "You know what's funny? I'm actually relieved. Relieved I found out now, instead of after marriage. Imagine if I had married one of them and then life got hard. They would have left me anyway, but with half my property." "That's the spirit," Emeka said. "So, are you ready to end this test? Come back to your real life. You proved your point." Chidi thought about his mansion sitting empty, his cars in the garage, his money in the bank waiting for him. He could go back any time, put on his expensive suits, return to the world of parties and deals and fake smiles. But something stopped him. "Not yet," he said quietly. "What? Why not?" "I need more time. Not to test anyone, just to understand who I am without all the noise, without people wanting things from me. I need to figure out what really matters." Emeka was quiet for a moment. "Okay, but don't stay too long in that role. You're playing at being poor, but you're not. These people around you, they don't have a choice. Don't romanticize their struggle." "I know. I'm not. I need a little more time." After hanging up, Chidi sat in the dark. Nipa had struck again, and thought about everything that had happened. He had lost 2 women he thought he loved, but had he really lost anything? Or had he just finally seen the truth that was always there? Maybe loss wasn't always bad. Maybe sometimes you had to lose the wrong things to make room for the right ones. The singing started again next door. That same woman, that same sweet voice, praising God in the darkness. Chidi closed his eyes and listened. For the first time in weeks, he felt like maybe everything would be okay. He didn't know her name yet, didn't know her story, but something about that voice in the darkness gave him hope. And hope, he was learning, was worth more than all the money he had lost, or pretended to lose.
The test had shown him the worst of people. But maybe, just maybe, life was about to show him the best.
Her name was Zainab, but everyone called her Zara. Chidi learned this from Mama Ngozi, the woman who sold provisions downstairs. He had asked casually one morning while buying sachet water, trying not to sound too interested. "Oh, that one?" Mama Ngozi smiled knowingly. "That's Zara. Very good girl. She lives with her small brother, Tunde. The boy is deaf. Can't hear since he was 5 years old. But Zara takes care of him like a mother. Very hardworking girl." Chidi nodded, taking his water and leaving before Mama Ngozi could ask why he wanted to know. But he did want to know. Something about Zara's singing, her smile, her peaceful spirit. It called to him. In a city where everyone was hustling, grabbing, demanding, she seemed content, happy even. And she had nothing. 2 days later, Zara knocked on his door. Chidi opened it to find her holding a covered plate, her face shy but kind. "Good afternoon. I'm your neighbor, Zara, from the next flat." "I know. Yes, hello, I've seen you." Chidi felt suddenly aware of his rough appearance. He hadn't shaved properly in days. "I noticed you don't cook much. You're always buying food from outside. So I made extra yam porridge this morning and thought..." She held out the plate. "I thought maybe you'd like some." Chidi stared at the plate like it was gold. When last had someone just given him something without wanting anything back? Thank you. You didn't have to." "It's nothing. We're neighbors. That's what neighbors do." She smiled again, and Chidi felt that crack in his chest widen. "If you need anything, I'm in flat 4B. Just knock." Before he could respond, she was gone, disappearing back into her flat. Chidi sat at his small table and uncovered the plate. The yam porridge was still hot, prepared with care. Palm oil glistening on top, pieces of fish and crayfish mixed in, the smell making his mouth water. He took a bite and almost cried. Not because it was fancy, but because someone had made it for him, not expecting anything back. He couldn't remember the last time a Daisy or Ngozi had cooked for him. They always wanted to eat at expensive restaurants. "Baby, let's go to that new place in VI," they would say. And he would pay, always paying, always providing, never receiving. But this simple plate of porridge from a woman who barely knew him, it filled him up in a way no fancy meal ever had. Over the next few days, Chidi found reasons to be on his balcony when Zara was or hers. They would greet each other, exchange small talk, comment on the heat or the latest NEPA nonsense. Nothing deep, nothing heavy, just simple human conversation. "The heat today is mad, oh," she said one afternoon, fanning herself with a magazine. "Very mad. I think my brain is melting." She laughed. A real laugh, not the fake tinkle he was used to from women trying to be attractive. "My brother says even the mosquitoes are too hot to bite today." Your brother has a sense of humor. "Oh yes, Tunde might not hear, but he sees everything, and he's very funny with his signs." Her face glowed when she talked about her brother. Pure love. No burden, no resentment, just love. "How old is he?" 17. Very smart boy. He wants to study art in university, but..." She trailed off, her face fading slightly. "God will make a way." Chidi understood that pause. The unspoken words, "but we don't have money." He wanted to help immediately, to write a check and solve their problems, but he caught himself. That was old Chidi talking, the one who solved everything with money. New Chidi needed to just be present. Just be a friend. "God will make a way," he agreed. The following week, Zara's kindness continued in small ways. She brought him a kara one morning. She said I made too much, though he suspected she had made extra on purpose. She offered to wash his clothes when she was doing hers. The machine takes the same water whether I wash for 1 or 2 people. She never asked about his past, never questioned why a man who spoke like he had education was living in a small flat in Yaba. She just accepted him as he was, another person trying to survive Lagos.
One evening, Zara heard shouting from her flat. Angry voices, a man's voice, rough and demanding. Then silence. Minutes later, he heard crying, soft, trying to be quiet, but he heard it through the thin walls. He knocked on her door. "Zara, are you okay?" Silence. Then footsteps. The door opened a crack. Her eyes were red. "I'm fine, just some family wahala. Nothing serious. You're crying." "I'm fine, really. Thank you for checking." She tried to close the door, but Chidi gently stopped it. "If you need to talk, I'm here. No judgment, just, I'm here." She looked at him for a long moment. Then, as if a dam broke, she began to speak. "It's my uncle. He came to ask for money. Says I owe him because he helped us when our parents died. But I've been paying him back slowly. Now he wants everything at once. Says if I don't pay, he'll take Tunde away from me. Send him to the village." Tears rolled down her face. Real tears. Pain tears. Not the fake crying Adaisy used to do when she wanted a new bag. "He can't do that. Tunde is your brother. In this Lagos, people can do anything if you don't have money to fight them." She wiped her face roughly. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't burden you with my problems. You have your own struggles. Your problems are not a burden, Zara." She looked surprised, like nobody had ever said that before. "Come, let me make you tea. You made me food all week. Let me at least give you tea." She hesitated, then nodded. They sat in his small flat, drinking tea that Chidi had bought from Mama Ngozi's shop. Zara talked about her parents dying in a car crash 6 years ago, about raising Tunde alone, about starting her small business making beaded jewelry that she sold at Balagoon Market, about dreams she had of sending Tunde to a good school where they understood deaf children. "But dreams don't pay bills," she said with a sad smile. "In Lagos, dreams are for rich people. Poor people like us, we just survive day by day." Chidi's heart broke. Here was a woman working so hard, loving so deeply, with dreams so simple, just wanting her brother to have a good life. While Adaisy and Ngozi had dreamed of Paris trips and more shops, Zara dreamed of school fees and her brother's future. "Don't give up on dreams," Chidi said quietly. "Sometimes God is just preparing something bigger than we can imagine." "You sound like my mother used to sound. She always said God had plans for us. I hope she was right." When Zara left that night, Chidi sat in the dark and cried. Real tears. Painful tears. Because he finally understood what he had been searching for all along. He had been looking for love in women who wanted his money. But love wasn't in what people took from you. Love was in what they gave. Freely, simply, without expecting anything back. Love was Zara making extra food for a neighbor she barely knew. Love was her raising her brother alone, sacrificing her own happiness for his future. Love was her sitting with a struggling man and sharing her own pain, not to get help, but just to connect, human to human, heart to heart. Chidi pulled out his phone and called Emeka. "I think I'm ready to come back soon, but before I do, I need you to help me with something." "Anything. What do you need?" "I need information about schools for deaf children, the best ones in Lagos, and I need to know about a man threatening to take a boy away from his sister. Can we stop that legally?" Emeka was quiet. Then, "You found someone, didn't you? Someone real." "Maybe. I don't know yet. But I know she deserves better than what life has given her. And for once, I want to help someone without them knowing it's me, without them owing me anything. Just because it's right." "Now you're talking like a real man," Emeka said. "Send me the details and I'll handle it." That night, Chidi slept better than he had in months. Not because his problems were solved, but because he finally understood what he had been missing. Money could buy many things, but it couldn't buy the feeling of being cared for by someone who had nothing to gain from you. It couldn't buy genuine kindness. It couldn't buy love. And Zara, without even knowing it, had given him all three.
3 months had passed since Chidi began his test, and everything had changed.
He sat in his small flat one Thursday morning, looking at the man in the mirror. Bearded, thinner, wearing clothes from Yaba Market, this man looked nothing like the billionaire who used to grace magazine covers. But somehow, this man felt more real. His phone rang. Emeka. "Guy, we need to talk. It's time." Time for what? "Time to come back. Your investors are getting restless. I've been holding them off, but they're starting to ask serious questions. And some of your properties? We're having real issues now. This can't continue." Chidi sighed. He knew this day would come. He just wished it could wait a little longer. "Okay, give me 1 week." 1 week? Why? "Because I need to tell Zara the truth first. Before I disappear back into that world, she deserves to know who I really am. And if she hates you for lying, then at least I'll know I was honest in the end." But telling Zara was harder than Chidi thought. Every time he tried, the words stuck in his throat. How do you tell someone who thinks you're struggling just like them that you're actually a billionaire playing pretend? How do you explain that your entire friendship was built on a lie? Days passed. Chidi and Zara had grown closer. They had tea together most evenings now. She had taught him how to cook simple meals. He had helped her make jewelry for the market. Tunde had started warming up to him too, teaching him basic sign language and showing him his drawings. One evening, as they sat on Zara's small balcony, watching the sun set over Lagos, she turned to him with curious eyes. "Chidi, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Who were you before? I mean, before you lost everything. You speak like an educated man. You know things about business and life. What happened to you?" This was it, the moment to tell the truth. But fear gripped Chidi's heart. What if she looked at him differently? What if she felt used? What if... "I made mistakes," he said, taking the coward's way out. "Trusted the wrong people, lost everything because I was foolish." Zara nodded slowly. "We all make mistakes. But you're a good man, Chidi. I can see it. You'll rise again." Her faith in him made the lies feel heavier. That night, Emeka called with urgent news. "I can't hold them anymore. The investors want a meeting next week. You have to come back now. We need to plan how to stage your recovery." "What do you suggest?" "Same way we did the fall. Make it dramatic. Announce that insurance finally paid out, that you found new investors, that you're back in business. Do a big press conference. Let Lagos know that Chidi Okan has risen from the ashes." "And the women? Adaeze and Ngozi? What about them? You're done with them." "I want them to see. I want them to understand what they threw away. Not for revenge, I'm past that, but for closure. They need to know that the man they abandoned wasn't really broken, that they failed a test they didn't know they were taking." Emeka was quiet for a moment. "And Zara? Where does she fit in all this?" "I don't know yet, but I want her there too. I want to tell her the truth face to face, in a place where she can see everything and decide for herself if she can forgive me." "This is risky, Guy, very risky." "I know, but it's the right thing to do." They planned it carefully. Chidi would invite all 3 women to his office building, the one he supposedly lost but actually still owned. Adaeze and Ngozi would receive formal letters about business opportunities with Mawangi Enterprises. They wouldn't know who sent them, but the promise of money would bring them running. Zara would receive a personal note from Chidi. "Please meet me at this address tomorrow at 3 p.m. There's something important I need to tell you. I hope you'll come." And dash Chudi. The night before the meeting, Chidi couldn't sleep. He walked around his mansion. Yes, his mansion. He had gone back to prepare, to become Chidi Okan, the billionaire again. Standing in his big bedroom, wearing his expensive pajamas, everything felt strange, like wearing someone else's skin. He missed the small flat in Yaba, missed the sounds of children playing,
Missed Zara's singing through the walls. Missed feeling like a normal person instead of a rich man everyone wanted something from. But there was no going back now. Tomorrow, the truth would come out. Tomorrow, everything would change again. The morning came too fast. Chidi dressed in his best suit, navy blue, perfectly tailored with Italian leather shoes that cost more than 6 months' rent in Yaba. His beard was trimmed sharp, his hair was styled. He looked in the mirror and saw the old Chidi staring back. "God help me," he whispered. At the office, Emeka was already there, making sure everything was perfect. "They're all coming," Adeyeze confirmed. Ngozi confirmed. "Zara?" She didn't reply, but Mama Ngozi saw her leaving the compound dressed nicely, so I think she's coming too. What if she doesn't come? Then you go back to Yaba and tell her there. But somehow, I think she'll come. She cares about you. At 2 p.m., Adeyeze arrived. She walked into the reception area like she owned it, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Designer everything, new hair, looking like money. "I'm here for a meeting with Malwengi Enterprises," she told the receptionist, her voice dripping with importance. "Please wait in the executive lounge." At 2:30 p.m., Ngozi came. She was also dressed to impress, clearly hoping this business opportunity would save her struggling salons. They saw each other in the lounge and looked shocked. "What are you doing here?" Adeyeze asked. "I got invited for a business meeting. You?" "Same." They sat in awkward silence, both confused, both hoping for money. At exactly 3 p.m., the receptionist called them. "Mr. Malwengi will see you now." They followed her down a long hallway, their heels echoing. The receptionist opened a large door to an executive office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking all of Lagos. And there, standing by the window in his perfect suit, was Chidi. Adeyeze gasped, and Ngozi's mouth fell open. "Chidi?" Adeyeze looked around wildly. "What? How? I don't understand. You were broke. You lost everything." "I lost nothing. I only pretended to lose everything." "Why?" Ngozi's voice was barely a whisper. "To find out who really loved me. To see if you would stay when the money was gone. You both failed that test." Adeyeze's shock turned to anger. "You lied to us. You played with our feelings. How dare you?" "You played with my feelings? When I had money, you said you loved me. When the money disappeared, you disappeared. Your love had a price, Adeyeze, and clearly I couldn't afford it anymore." "This is sick," she shouted. "You're a manipulative, lying. I'm someone who deserved better than what you gave me. Both of you. I gave you everything. My time, my money, my heart. And the moment I needed you, you ran. Don't blame me for showing you who you really are." Ngozi was crying now, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of shame. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I was scared. I panicked. I didn't know what to do." "You could have stayed," Chidi said simply. "That's what people who love each other do. They stay." The door opened again. Everyone turned. And there stood Zara.
Zara stood in the doorway wearing her best dress, a simple Ankara print she had sewn herself. Her hair was neatly braided. She wore no makeup, no jewelry except for small earrings. But to Chidi, she looked more beautiful than any woman he had ever seen. Her eyes moved slowly around the massive office, the expensive furniture, the awards on the wall, the view of all Lagos spread out below. Then her eyes found Chidi in his perfect suit, and confusion filled her face. "Chidi?" Her voice was small, uncertain. "What is this place? Who are these women?" Adeyeze looked at Zara and laughed, a cruel, mocking sound. "Oh my God, don't tell me this is her. This is the reason you brought us here? This village girl in her cheap dress?" "Shut your mouth," Chidi said, his voice cold as ice. But the damage was done. Zara had heard. She took a step back, her face showing hurt and shame. "Zara, please." Chidi moved toward her. "Let me explain." "Explain what?" Her voice was shaking now. "That you're rich? That you've been lying to me for months? That everything was fake?" "Not everything. My feelings for you were never fake." "Feelings?" Zara laughed, but it was a broken sound. "How can you have real feelings built on lies? I thought you were like me. I thought you understood struggle. I thought—" Her voice cracked. "I thought we were the same. We are the same. Where it matters, in our hearts, we're the same." "No." Zara shook her head, tears starting to fall. "We're not. You're this." She waved her hand at the office. "And I'm just a girl from Yaba who makes beads at the market. You played with me, made me think you cared. Made me think—" She couldn't finish. "I do care. Zara, please listen. I trusted you." Her voice rose, all the pain spilling out. "I brought you food when I barely had enough for myself and Tunde. I shared my problems with you. I let you into my life. And all this time, you were laughing at me? Poor, stupid Zara, so easy to fool?" "I never laughed at you. Never." Chidi's own voice was breaking now. "You were the only real thing in my life. The only person who saw me as a man, not as a bank account. Do you know what that meant to me?" Ngozi, who had been watching silently, spoke up. "So this was all a game? You tested us? You tested all of us." "Yes, I tested you." Chidi turned to face her Anadaze. "And you both failed. When I had everything, you loved me. When I had nothing, you left. But Zara," his voice softened as he looked back at her, "Zara gave me food when she thought I was hungry. She gave me kindness when she thought I was alone. She gave me friendship when she had nothing to gain. She passed a test she didn't even know existed." "Because I thought you were real," Zara cried. "Because I thought you needed help. But you didn't need anything. You were just playing rich man games with poor people's wives." The words hit Chidi like a slap. She was right. Emeka had warned him about this, about romanticizing poverty when he had the choice to leave it any time. "You're right," he said quietly. "I was wrong. I had no right to lie to you. But Zara, everything I felt was real. Every conversation, every moment, every time you made me laugh or made me think differently about life, that was all real. How can I believe anything you say now?" Chidi had no answer for that. How do you prove truth after months of lies? Adaze, seeing an opportunity, jumped in. "You see, Chidi, this is what happens when you try to date beneath your level. She can't even understand why you did what you did. She's too simple." "Enough!" Chidi's voice boomed through the office. "You don't get to talk about her. You who claimed to love me but only loved my money. You who posted videos calling me toxic when I needed support. You who moved on to another man before my bed was even cold. You have no right to judge her." Adaze's face went red, but she said nothing. Chidi turned back to Zara, his heart breaking as he saw the pain in her eyes. "I don't expect you to forgive me today. Maybe not ever. But please, let me at least explain why I did this." Zara was quiet, her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her heart together. "These women," Chidi gestured to Adaze and Ngozi, "they said they loved me. I gave them businesses, money, everything they asked for, and when I pretended to lose it all, they vanished, not slowly, not with regret. They just left, like I was garbage." "So you thought you'd test another poor girl, see if she was different?" "No, I wasn't testing you. I met you after I had already given up, after I had decided real love didn't exist. And then you appeared, singing on your balcony, making food for a stranger, caring for your brother with everything you had. You weren't trying to impress me. You weren't trying to get anything from me. You were just good. Genuinely good." Fresh tears fell from Zara's eyes now, but they looked different. Not just pain, something else mixed in. "My uncle," she said with a wobbling smile, "love."
My uncle, the one who threatened to take Tunde away, he came last week and said he changed his mind. Said he got a visit from some lawyers who told him if he tried anything, he would go to jail. Said he was sorry and won't bother us anymore. That was you, wasn't it? Chidi nodded slowly. I couldn't let him hurt you or Tunde. And the letter that came yesterday, the one offering Tunde a full scholarship to that special school for deaf children, the one with art programs, that was you too. Yes. You did all that without telling me? Without asking for thanks or credit? Because I didn't want thanks. I just wanted you and Tunde to be happy. Fresh tears fell from Zara's eyes, but this time they looked different. Not just pain, something else mixed in. I was so happy when I got that letter. I cried for hours. Tunde cried. We couldn't believe God had answered our prayers. And it was you. All along, it was you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I wanted to help without you feeling like you owed me anything. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at Chidi with red, swollen eyes. I'm still angry at you. I'm still hurt. You lied to me, and that pain won't go away quickly. Chidi's heart sank. I understand. But, Zara continued, her voice stronger now, I also understand why you did this. I understand what they, she glanced at Adaze and Ngozi, what they did to you. And I understand that sometimes people make mistakes when they're trying to protect their hearts. So, what does that mean? Chidi asked, hope creeping into his voice. It means I need time. Time to think. Time to know if I can trust you again. Time to see if what we had in Yaba can exist in this world, she gestured around the office, where everything is so different. I'll wait as long as you need. Zara nodded slowly. Then she looked at Adaze and Ngozi, her voice calm but firm. I don't know what you both lost, but I know what I found. A man who, even when pretending to be poor, was richer in heart than most people with all the money in the world. Maybe you should think about that. With that, she turned and walked out of the office, her head held high despite the tears. Chidi wanted to run after her, but Emeka grabbed his arm. Let her go. Give her space. She'll come back if it's meant to be. Adaze and Ngozi stood awkwardly, realizing they were no longer part of this story. Can we go now? Adaze asked, coldly. Yes, Chidi said, not even looking at them. You can go. And don't come back, ever. They left quickly, their expensive heels clicking away into the distance. Chidi stood by the window, looking out at Lagos. Somewhere out there, Zara was going back to Yaba, back to her small flat and her simple life, a life she had been willing to share with him when he thought he had nothing. You think she'll forgive me? He asked Emeka. I think she already has. She just needs time to heal from the hurt. But Guy, you found something rare. A woman who loved you when you were pretending to be nobody. That's the kind of love you don't let go. I know. 3 weeks later, Chidi was back in Yaba. Not pretending this time, just visiting. He knocked on Zara's door. She opened it, surprised. Chidi? I came to apologize properly, and to see if maybe you'd let me take you and Tunud out for lunch. Nothing fancy. Just lunch? She smiled slightly. Just lunch. As friends, if that's all you can give me right now. I'm not trying to buy your love. I'm just trying to earn back your trust. Zara looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, let me get Tunde. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. And sometimes a start is all you need. In the months that followed, Chidi learned that love isn't something you test or buy, it's something you build, brick by brick, with truth and time. Zara slowly opened her heart again, and Chidi proved through his actions, not his money, that he was worthy of her trust. They took things slow, building friendship before romance, and when love finally bloomed between them, it was real, rooted not in what he owned, but in who he chose to be. True love isn't proven in plenty. It shines brightest when tested by hardship. Money can open doors, but only character and genuine care can build a home where hearts feel safe.